Alright, Title 49, Chapter 3, November 1st, 2017 edition. Testing. Alright. Part 372. Part 372, Exemption, Commercial Zones, Terminal Areas. Subpart A, Exemption 372-101, Casual Occasional Reciprocal Transportation Passenger with the compensation when the transportation is sold the range by anyone compensation. 372-103, Motor Vehicles employed with solely with the transportation, school children, teachers, and to or from school. 372-107, the definitions. 372-109, Computation of tonnage allowable to non-farmer or non-member transportation. 372-111, the non-member transportation limitation, record keeping. 372-113, Reserve. 372-115, commodities that are not exempt in Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 13506A6. 372-117, motor transportation, passenger incident transportation aircraft. Subpart B, and then it gives a list of cities. Subpart C, terminal. 372, 300, distance of population data. 372, 301, terminal areas of motor carriers freight towards municipal served. 372, 303, terminals are where motor carriers freight forwards and unincorporated communities served. And subpart A, exemptions. 372-101, casual occasion reciprocation transportation of passengers compensation with the transportation is over the range by anyone with a compensation partial exemption regulation over the provisions of Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 4 Part B with the casual occasional reciprocal transportation passenger motor vehicle with the interstate with the foreign comments for the compensation is provided in Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 13506. If the B with the B is hereby removed the extent necessary to make it applicable to all provisions Title 49 U.S. Standard Code Subtitle 4 Part B sale provides furniture contracts or arranges for the such transportation for the compensation regular occupation of the business. 372-103, motor vehicles employed with it solely and with the transportation of school children and teachers to and from school. Exemption set forth in Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 13506A should not be construed as being inapplicable to the motor vehicles being used at the time of operation transportation of school children and teachers for to and from school, even if those of such motor vehicles are employed at the other times of transportation beyond scope of the exemption. 372-107, the definition is even the regulation part of the following terms shall have the meaning as follows. Cooperative assistance. For the term of the cooperative assistance mean the associated with the form of the following definition: agricultural marketing approved in June 15th, 1929 as amended. And then I'm going to skip that part. Associations who do not conform with such a definition are not eligible to operate with a particular partial exemption of Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 13506A5. B. Federation Cooperative Association. Term Federation Cooperative Assistance means with the federation composed either of the two or more cooperative associations, one or more of the farmers' federal proposes with no greater powers or purposes than the cooperative association defined in paragraph A of the section. Federation Cooperative Association with a non-conformity such definitions are not eligible to operate with a partial exemption of Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 13506A. Remember, the term member means any former cooperative association with a consent to be and that has been accepted as a member of the good standing in accordance with the Constitution, bylaws, rules of the Cooperative Association, Federation, Cooperative Associations. Federal Farmer. The farmer means for the individual partnership cooperative or other business entity to the extent that they engage in farming operations, either to produce agricultural commodities or as a farmer owner. Interstate transportation. The term interstate transportation means for the transportation motor vehicle and the interstate foreign commerce subject to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration jurisdiction is set forth in Title 49 U.S. Code 13501. Member transportation. The term member transportation means the transportation performed with a cooperative association, federation, cooperation, cooperative associations for itself and its members does not include the transportation performed in the furtherance of the non-farmer business of such member. Non-member transportation with a non-member transportation means the transportation performed by a cooperative association or federation of cooperative associations over the member transportation defined in paragraph F of this section. Alright, H, fiscal year. The term fiscal year means the annual accounting period adopted with the cooperative association or federation of cooperative association federal income tax reporting purposes. Alright, 372-109, computation of the tonnage allowable to non-farmer and non-member transportation. Interstate Transportation Performing Cooperative Association, Federation, Cooperative Association, non-member of the non-farm who are not farmers, Cooperative Association, Federation associated with the United States government and compensation, except for the transportation otherwise exempt from Title 4 and Part B, Chapter 135 of the Title of the 49 U.S. Standard Code shall be limited with the incidental of the primary transportation operation necessary effective of the performance shall not no event exceed 25% of the total interstate transportation service in an official year, measured in terms of tonnage of the Cooperative Association, Federation, Cooperative Associations may be transport its own property with its member of the property of the other farmers and other property, and the property of the other cooperative federations in accordance with existing laws, except for the provisions of 372-111 that may be applicable to the limit of the other member non-member transportation. The phrase identical mean of the primary transportation operation necessary to effect with the performance of the mean of the interstate with the Transportation Cooperative Association, Federal Cooperative Association with the non-members described and above the performed within the same truck of the tractors employed with the prior of the subsequent trip of the primary transportation operation, Cooperative Association or Federation that is not economically feasible to the operator of the truck of the tractors employed with the return of the outbound trips in the case where the preliminary transportation operation inbound association federation with additional income obtained with the transportation is necessary to make primary transportation operation financial practicable transportation for the non-member described above performed by cooperative federation through the use of the trucks and tractor trip leased one-way movements for the cooperative association federation acting with leases as lesser is not an incidental necessary. Base tonnage within 25% limitation apply with the tonnage with all condition met transportation within the cooperative association federation, cooperative associations, and interstate and foreign commerce, whether for itself or the members and non-members for on the behalf of the United States or an agency instrumental thereof that be formed an exemption provided in Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 13506A5. 372-111, the non-member transportation limitation record keeping over limitation member of the transportation cooperative association may engage the non-member to interstate transportation compensation each financial year with a measure of the term of the tonnage exceeding the total interstate member transportation in such financial year. Record interstate transportation non-member transportation is perform cooperative association federation cooperative association performing interstate transportation non-member that prepare with the retaining the period of at least 2 years with the written records interstate transportation performing member the non-member of the record shall contain the day of the shipment, the name of the address of the consignor and the consignee, the original destination and shipment, the description of the articles and shipment, the weight of the volume and shipment, the description of the equipment with either the number of license numbers for the E in the event of the equipment is not owned and the name and the address of its owner and driver. The total charges and collect with a copy and all leases executed with the Cooperative Association, Federated Cooperative Associations to obtain the equipment if they do perform transportation on Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 13506A5, with the transportation performed and per member transportation, non-member transportation, non-member the Farmers Cooperative Association Federations of other non-member transportation of Class 3 or however the transportation is incidental necessary is defined in 372-109A. Alright, your 372-113 reserve, 372-115 combined that are not exempt with the Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 13506A6. Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 13506A6 provides exemption with the regulation motor vehicle used for carrying ordinary livestock, fish, unmanufactured agricultural commodities. Certain specific commodities of the statutory determine the non-exempt Administrative Rule 9, number 133, which is reproduced in a list of those commodities not exempt in statutes. And we're not going to read administration list, the administration rule number 133. It's basically agricultural. Alright, 372-117, motor transportation, passenger incidental transportation by aircraft. Passengers having immediately prior to the subsequent movement of the air with the transportation passenger motor vehicle to transportation, incidental transportation by aircraft, provided that it is confined with the transportation passengers have had or will have the immediately subsequent movement of the air and to the zone in which the motor transportation incidental with the transportation by aircraft, except for the individual determinative of the provided paragraph C of the section, shall not exceed the size of the economic compass within 25-mile radius of the boundary of an airport at which the passengers arrive and depart by the boundaries commercial zone as defined in Secretary any of the municipalities any more of the part of the commercial zone falls within 25 miles radius of the pertinent airport. Substituted motor air transportation due to emergency conditions. Transportation of passengers with a motor vehicle. The transportation incidental with the transportation by aircraft that isn't constitute substitute of the motor for air services performed by the expense of the air in an emergency situation arising with the inability of the air to perform the air transportation due to first weather conditions, equipment failure of the other cover beyond the control of the air carrier. C. Individual determination exemption zones. Upon its own motion, upon the petition filed with the interest person, the Secretary may in appropriate proceeding determine whether the air or within the transportation transportation motor vehicle, the passenger having immediately prior subsequent movement by air must be performed in order to come to the provisions of paragraph A of this section should be individually determined by with respect to any particular airport and city served by the airport, whether there are should be established therefore an appropriate boundaries differing in the extent of the defined in paragraph A2 of this section. Or D, except the zones of operation of the dualies, Baltimore, Washington, International Airport, the transportation motor vehicle, the interstate foreign commerce passengers having an immediate prior to subsequent movements of the air between dualies, International Airport near Cheeseville, Chantilly, Georgia, Baltimore, Washington, International Airport near Baltimore, Maryland, impartial, exempt with the regulation of Title 49 U.S. Senate Code 13506 ADA, Savannah, Georgia Airport with a transportation motor vehicle with the interstate foreign commerce for the passenger having the immediate prior with the subsequent movement of the air prior between Savannah, Georgia Airport and all points of the Hilton Head, Inland, South Carolina, personally exempt with the regulation Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 13506 A. Chicago O'Hare International Airport with the transportation motor vehicle, the interstate foreign commerce passenger having the immediate prior to subsequent movement of the air between O'Hare International Airport, Chicago, Illinois, on one hand, on the other point of Indiana, on the northern U.S. Highway 330, on West Indiana Highway 49, partially exempt with the regulation Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 13506 AAD. Alright, subpart B, commercial zone, 37201, Albany, New York. The zone adjacent with the commercial part of the Albany with the transport motor vehicle with the interstate foreign commerce down to the under the control of the command management arrangement continues with the carriage shipment with the from point of such zones with partial exempt with the regulation Title 49 U.S. Code 13506B1. Include compromise all points of the file with the municipality of Albany, New York itself, with all points of the line drawn with 8 miles beyond the municipality limitation of Albany. All points that are more than 8 miles beyond the municipal limitation limits of the Albany bound line is filed with the beginning of the point of the western boundary codes, New York, which crosses the described in paragraph B of this section. These along the western northern bound of the Coees Mohawk River. They are also with the Rushus River, the boundary with the town Waterford. There's the northern eastern boundary town Waterford for the northern boundary city of Detroit. Although which the city is included in the next provision. Any of the municipalities, any of the which of the limits of the combined are defined in paragraphs B and C of the section. All of the municipality wholly surrounded except waterbound or the municipality Albany other municipality included in terms of the D of this section. And then it goes through these different, it's got different, we'll read Washington and D.C. It goes through the different cities. 372-219 Washington, D.C. Zone adjacent to the commercial over the part of the Washington, D.C. within the transportation motor vehicle with the interstate foreign commerce under the common control management arrangement. Continuous carriage shipment to and from a point beyond the such zone partial exempt to the regulation Title 49 U.S. Standard 13506B1 include with the compromise all points of the files municipality of the Washington, D.C. itself, all points of which the line draws 15 miles beyond the municipality lines of the Washington, D.C. All points of Herrick's loading counties of Virginia, all points of Prince William County, Virginia, include the city of the Manassas, Virginia, city of Manassas Park, Virginia. All the municipalities are part within the limits of the combined area defined in paragraphs B and C in this section, and all municipalities wholly surrounded except the waterbound municipality Washington, D.C. by any other municipality included in the terms of paragraph D of this section. And then it continues with a list of countries, list of cities in the United States. And then we're going to come back with 372-239 definitions. Purpose for this part with the following terms are: defined municipality means any city with a town, village, borough that which have created with a special legislative act which has been otherwise individually incorporated the charter pursuant to the general state laws in which recognized such under the Constitution by the laws and state of which are located, which of the local government it does not include the town with the town worship of the New England type of the continuous municipality, meaning the municipality defined in the paragraph A of this section, which have in some of the most common municipality corporate boundary. Unincorporated area means any of the area not incorporated with the municipality boundary, municipality defined in paragraph A of this section. Alright, 372, 372-41 commercial zone that determined generally with the exemption. Commercial zone of each of the municipalities of the United States with the exemption indicate with the transportation, passenger, property, interstate, and former carriage and shipment from the point for which such zones except for the provision of Title 49 U.S. Standard. In foreign comments under over the common control of the arrangement of the continuous carriage shipment from such zone exempt of the provision Title 49 U.S. Standard Code Subtitle 4. All right, under common control, may arrangement with the continuous carriage shipment or from the point at which such zones. Such zones example the provision Title 49 U.S. Standard Code Subtitle 4 Part B with the deemed the consistent. The municipalities itself herein are after called with the base of the municipality, all municipalities with a continuous base municipality, other municipalities of the incorporated area of the United States which are adjacent to the base municipality as follows. When the base municipality has a population of 2,500 of all incorporated area within 3 miles of the corporate limits of all of any of the municipality, any part of which 3 miles of the corporate limits of the base municipality. Base municipalities have the population of 2,500 but not less than 25,000 are incorporated areas within 4 miles of the corporate limits of all any of the municipalities, any part of which is 4 miles of the corporate limits of the base municipality. When the base municipality has a population of 25,000 but less than 100,000 unincorporated areas within 6 miles of the cooperative limits of all of the other municipalities, any of the other part of which 6 miles of the corporate limits of the base municipality, and when the base municipality has the population of 100,000 but less than 200,000 unincorporated areas within the 8 miles of corporate limits, all any other municipalities, any part of the 8 miles of corporate limits of the base municipality. The base municipality has a population of 200,000 but less than 500,000 incorporated areas within 10 miles of the corporate limits, and all of the other municipality and part of the which of the 10 miles of the corporate limits of a base municipality. When the base municipality has a population of 500,000 but less than 1 million unincorporated areas within 15 miles of the corporate limits of any other municipality and part within 15 miles of the corporate limits of the base municipality. When the base municipality has a population of 1 million or more, all incorporated areas within 20 miles of the corporate limits, all of any of the other municipalities, any part of which of the 20 miles of corporate limits of the base municipality. All municipalities wholly surrounded with the surrounded exempted of the water boundary of the base municipality and municipality continuously thereof by any municipality adjacent thereto was included with the commercial zone of such municipality under the provisions of paragraph C of this section. Alright, 372-243, control distance and population. Application 372-241, airline distance of mileage and corporate alignments of the municipality should be used. The population of the municipality should deem the high figure shown in the municipality in decimal census since including the 1940 decimal census. Alright, contraction principal boundaries will not alter size of the commercial zones. 372-245, next New Mexico commercial, and then cities of El Paso, Texas. Skipping that and moving on from the cities to subpart C terminal part areas. 372-300 distance of population. Application of the subpart distance population shall be determined in the same manner with provided in Title 49 CFR 372-243, also defined in Title 49 C 372-239. Alright, 372-301, terminal area of the motor carrier freight forward the municipality served. The terminal area with the meaning of the Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 13503, any motor carrier property freight forward with the subject of the Title 49 subtitle for subtitle 4, Part B, the municipality authorized served in so motor carrier property, motor carrier passengers in the transportation express the freight forward with the transportation motor carrier performance, transfer, collection, delivery services may be performed or before the forward motor carrier priority. Motor carrier property or of freight forward compliance with the provision of Title 49 U.S. Standard Code Subtitle 4 Part B. This includes all points of the places which are with the commercial zone defined secretary of that municipality, not beyond the limits of operating authority, such motor carriers and property freight forward. 372-303, terminal areas, motor carrier freight forward, and unincorporated communities serve the terminal areas with the meaning of the Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 13503, motor carrier, the property freight forward, subject to Title 49 U.S. Standard Code Subtitle 4, Part B, unincorporated communities of the imposed of the same name of the authorized serve the such motor carrier property, motor carrier passengers in the transportation express freight forward, and with the transportation motor vehicle with the performance, transfer, collection, delivery services that may be performed for such motor carriers property of the forward. Consists of all the points in the United States which are located in the limits operating authority of the motor carrier with the freight forward involved with the 3 mile post of the authorized unincorporated point with the population 2,500 miles with the 4 miles population 2,500 miles but less than 25,000 within 6 miles a population 25,000 or more. All municipalities any of the part included in paragraph A of this section. All municipalities wholly surround any municipalities including paragraph B of this section are solely around except the water boundary. 373 receipts from bills. This was reading of the exemption of commercial zones and terminal areas.